All right, time to go to Massachusetts now, where the governor has announced a new plan to study whether psychedelics can help veterans. It's part of a comprehensive veterans bill called the HERO Act. It includes a provision that creates a study group to study the health benefits of psychedelics as treatment for veterans with physical or mental disorders. Not a new idea, and it's something that's united people on opposite sides of the political spectrum. Back in August, Congressman and veteran Dan Crenshaw told Elizabeth Vargas here on this program that psychedelics can save lives.
We could go over testimony after testimony after testimony of veterans that have gone through these therapies, whether it's using MDMA or another one called ibogaine, psilocybin. There are really dramatic effects.
All right, we're joined now by Adam Zaffuto. Now, Adam is a veteran from Pittsburgh. Says psychedelics have dramatically helped his recovery. And Adam, we thank you for being here. Tell us how.
Oh, thanks for having me. Well, for me, I did 6 years of counseling right when I got out of the military, and that was incredibly impactful for me to put a lot of context around the trauma that I had experienced. But during the time when Afghanistan collapsed, I saw a resurgence of a lot of the PTSD symptoms that I had thought I'd kind of moved past. And so I enrolled in a program where I did 3 MDMA ceremonies and then an ayahuasca ceremony. And they were incredibly impactful in changing my life and allowing me to really release a lot of the guilt and a lot of the shame that I was still holding on to. And it profoundly changed my life. And I like to say that it changed my experience here on Earth.
It's crazy. I mean, I think that the connotation of these psychedelics in people's mind, I wonder what yours was going into this, is something where they say, oh, well, you know, that was the hippies back in the 60s and that kind of thing. Did you think that at first? Were you nervous before you started it?
To say that there wasn't nerves, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I had never done any psychedelics. You know, I had been using cannabis to treat kind of my anxiety and depression symptoms along with PTSD, but it wasn't providing me the relief that I really needed. And not to say that it doesn't provide some people relief, it really does. But for me, it wasn't really helping anymore. And so I had learned enough kind of on the scientific side about what MAPS had been doing with MDMA therapy, the organization MAPS, and Dr. Rick Doblin's studies. And I decided that this was something that I was very interested in. And the opportunity kind of made its way into my world to do an MDMA ceremony. And I jumped at the opportunity because I had seen enough of the statistics, and I'd heard enough stories, enough anecdotes to decide that, hey, I wanted to be one of those success stories.
Now, the concern, I'm sure, with people talking about whether they should be decriminalized or legalized is the effects, the side effects and things like that. So what do you say? What did you experience on that front, and what about the risks of all this?
I mean, the side effects for me were immense amounts of self-love, immense amounts of self-transformation, an ability to be a better husband and a much more engaged father, and to provide my daughter with the father that she deserves, and my wife my wife got her husband back and got the man that she married back. And so for me, like, those were the side effects. I was all right with those side effects. I'm not here to say that these should be just completely decriminalized, that these should be accessible very, very easily by anybody. Yeah. I think that we need to build a structure around this that allows them to be used in a therapeutic and ceremonial aspect, because that's where this real healing takes place. And this isn't just a trip and just going and deciding that, hey, I'm just going to eat some mushrooms and see where this goes.
Right. No, yeah, it's more than that. It's not what, you know, people might think that, or they have that at the preconceived notion in their head, but clearly it's worked for someone like you. Have you had conversations with, you know, other veterans and, you know, people you serve with and things about doing this? Is there a reluctance? Is there an excitement, anticipation? I mean, what are people saying about the future?
You know, I've talked with a lot of fellow veterans, a lot of brothers and sisters of mine who served, and they've also kind of started to see the light on psychedelics and see that these are effective treatments, that we are kind of breaking through the stigma of the 60s, the stigma of the hippies, you know, smoking weed and taking some mushrooms in Golden Gate Park. We're breaking through that stigma, and when these are used properly in a ceremonial and in a therapeutic way, they're incredibly effective. And I know for me, the aspect of learning about psychedelics was really brought to me by a fellow veteran who had treated some of his symptoms and had seen some incredible effects from them. And he was the one who kind of helped open my eyes to some of these things. So there is an underground community in the veteran space who are using and utilizing these medicines and these treatments to help heal themselves. And I understand that the VA is a complicated bureaucracy that struggles sometimes to move forward with new medicine and new treatments. And so for me, it was saying whether or not this is available to me through the VA, it's a treatment that I'm interested in. And so it's a treatment that I decided to seek out and find.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.